Good evening and welcome back to the National Press Photographer's Best of Photojournalism Multimedia section, being hosted at Ohio University by the School of Visual Communication. This is our 17th year of working with this competition, and we're excited to move now to the Multimedia Portfolio Small Market Team Division. Our judges have spent several weeks with these entries before coming to campus are here now and have pulled these two entries up to talk about an award. Brent, would you walk me through one or the other entries about why you're feeling this should be held up and applauded, this work?
Oh God, I like both of them. Let's start with the Marshall Project, because I think one of my favorite videos that have been done that we've seen so far was the Shauna's life on the sex offender registry. It's just a really well done story, a really amazing narrative, and brings to light to an issue I don't know many people know about. As well as Cooking Them to Death works in that same exact way. It's staying in that same theory. I know the Marshall Project works a lot in that prison reform and talking about inmate protections and things like that. So Cooking Them to Death, once again, is another story that I feel like it's well done and brings light to issues that we might not think so much about. So that's why I'm really enjoying what they're doing, as well as the bringing it full circle in a way of talking about what inmates have the ability to do once they're released from prison and find their way back into society.
Yeah, I mean, I think that exploration in what used to be called watchdog journalism, justice journalism, is really thoughtfully and engagingly presented for a diverse audience, you know, and they're not a traditional media publication, which shows the diversity of thought and possibilities that are now being produced by the web.
Kenny, was there anything that surprised you or you thought plowed into new ground with the Marshall Project?
Well, as Brent alluded to, I think that the level, you know, the truer focus on documentary, you know, deep dive, investigative reporting, shows that there's a home and a place. I can't say that I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised and reaffirmed that you know, societally we need that kind of exploration in our social media feed and our, you know, our web appetite, and there's a place for it. And most importantly, there are, and I applaud them, you know, folks who are funding this kind of work and creating an outlet for it.
Kimberly, thoughts about the Marshall Project?
I enjoyed all the videos, and I guess it's coming at different perspectives with what kind of jobs do inmates get when they get out? You know, how are inmates being treated in prison? To people that are subject to the law but not treated fairly, maybe comparatively. But I don't know, the chicken story, even though I think it's necessary, kind of feel like it sort of drags it down a little bit too.
Okay.
Maybe because I felt like I think the surprise, though, I enjoyed about the chicken story is that the lady that was running the office, she is an ex-convict as well, and that's where it all started.
Yeah.
And she's doing the hiring, but she's given a second chance. And even the owner, the guy that runs the place, was saying, this isn't about me giving them a second chance, this is about the bottom line. It's more effective for me, you know, as a business, to our ex-convicts, because they'll work harder, they'll do more, they'll be here on time. And I like that honesty as well. So it's weak, but it's not in some ways. But I think it does overall kind of bring it down a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, they got like one other like strong video. I would like to swap that out there. Yeah, that's the weakest one.
Still something well worth applauding, holding up as a standard of excellence for 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Now to move your focus just a bit over to the Univision package. What you've been looking at this in several different formats all day.
Well, you know, one of the things, again, that was so striking is that these are stories, or at least two of the stories were stories that we've heard about, that have been in the news, like, you know, life in the eye of the hurricane. It's like that has gone off the main pages and screens of our news feeds. And so it was really important to be able to see that there's work, and as they call it, the big story, in other parts of the world that impact and we should be concerned about, that were really well reported and thoughtfully presented. So I was really pleased and affirmed by that.
Okay, other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's the same thing. Almost perfect. As Kenny just said, just really seeing these stories from a different angle about the people that they're still affecting. That's one of the huge things that I think we move so quickly nowadays that we don't get to actually hear all the voices involved in a situation or see things from all angles. And what they did was to bring in a different perspective that I don't think we get to hear enough of, and literally just kind of put it in the hands of the people and just let their voices be heard and let their stories be told and shown. So I adored both of them so much, from migrants to refugees to life in the eye of the hurricane.
And a little bit of a lighter story in the little kids in the big league.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
Nice range of pace and diverse narratives.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, because these stories were presented, you know, in Spanish, and indigenous journalists were reporting on those issues, it as Brent alluded to, it offered a different perspective, a needed, and I think should be a view that should be more valued, as opposed to the colonizer's view.
Well,
folks will get that. Some folks will get that.
Several years ago, the NPPA broadened its definition of domestic domestic news to include Canada and Mexico and Central America, a much more thoughtful range of where that comes from.
Yeah. And very seriously, you and I were intentionally in those conversations and strong advocates for that. So it's a privilege for me to be here this week and be able to kind of validate that, because there was a lot of pushback.
Yes, there was.
When we made those recommendations, and to see NPPA make those kind of iterative steps then that are now reaping dividends is rewarding.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at the portfolio, overall portfolio that we just judged, and I mean that was Univision. He came from Univision and just made this amazing work that I have never seen before. But it was refreshing. It was new. It was shot in a way that like I didn't understand this world, but now I do, and now I connect with it. So I'm very happy of opening those doors and letting more voices come in.
Okay. We have a first and a second. Thank you for your work, and we'll close out this live feed.